March 26, 1991. On a mild spring day, 5 boys from a school in Daegu, South Korea, left their homes. They said they were going to the mountain behind their neighborhood to look for salamander eggs. It was the last time anyone would see them alive. What followed became the largest search operation in South Korean history. Over the course of the case, a cumulative 350,000 people combed the mountain, and yet, for 11 years and 6 months, the boys were never found. Woo Cheol-won, age 13, Jo Ho-yeon, age 12, Kim Yong-gyu, age 11, Park Chan-in, age 10, Kim Jong-sik, age 9. All 5 were students at the same elementary school in Daegu. March 26, 1991 was a local election day, so school was closed. Excited to have the day off? The boys set out early for Mount Waryong, near their homes. What they actually went to collect were salamander eggs, not frogs. But when the press mistakenly reported it as frogs, the case became known forever as the Frog Boys. Night fell, and not one of the 5 boys came home. From that night on, the entire nation would come to know their names. The case soon shook the whole country. Police and military were mobilized. Helicopters and search dogs were sent into the mountains. In total, a cumulative 350,000 people joined the search. The largest missing persons operation in the nation's history at the time. The boys' faces were printed on millions of flyers. Their photographs appeared on milk cartons and even on snack packaging. The entire country was searching for these children. But the mountain gave up nothing. No clear trace, no witness, no lead. As time passed, rumors and false tips clouded the investigation, and slowly, the boys began to fade from the nation's memory. Then in September 2002, 11 years and 6 months after they vanished, on an autumn day, a local resident gathering acorns on Mount Waryong noticed something protruding from the soil. It was the remains of the 5 boys. The children had been there all along on the very mountain where they disappeared, not far from home, the same mountain that hundreds of thousands of people had searched for over a decade. And from this moment, the case turned into an entirely different question. How and why did these children die in that place? Most of the remains had been reduced to bone. Time had erased much, but the remains still held several grave clues. A forensic team from Kyungpook National University found sharp damage consistent with external force on some of the skulls. On this basis, the forensic team concluded that this was a homicide. The police, by contrast, had initially suggested the boys might have gotten lost and died of hypothermia, but that theory drew fierce objection from the families and from experts. Lost children on a mountain so close to their own homes, found tangled together in a single spot, there was simply too much that a natural death could not explain. The debate over the cause of death has never been fully settled. But one thing became clear. The deaths of these 5 boys were, in all likelihood, no accident. The reason this case is still called a mystery is that too many questions remain without answers. 1. On a mountain searched by hundreds of thousands of people over 11 years, how were 5 sets of remains never found? 2. No DNA, no fingerprint that could identify a suspect was ever recovered. By then, time had wiped away every trace at the scene. 3. Who and for what possible reason would harm 5 young boys, children who could have had no enemy? Not even a motive has ever been established. No credible suspect. No credible scenario. In this case, almost nothing certain remains. Then, at midnight on March 25, 2006, 15 years after the case, the statute of limitations expired. From that point on, even if the killer were found, they could never be punished in the name of the law. In 2015, a new law abolished the statute of limitations for murder, but it could not be applied retroactively to this case. In 2019, when the true culprit of the Hwashung serial murders was finally identified, police reopened this case as well, but no meaningful lead emerged. The boys' time stopped in the spring of 1991, and the time of the families they left behind stopped there with them. Woo Cheol-won, Jo Ho-yeon, Kim Yong-gyu, Park Chan-in, Kim Jong-sik. 5 boys who climbed a mountain to look for salamander eggs never came home. Who took them from us, we still do not know. A case whose truth vanished beyond the reach of the law. But there is no statute of limitations on memory. This was Million Dollar Mystery.